Good morning, good afternoon, good night, everybody. First thing, shout out to my whole Boost and Forums family. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for your support. Definitely hit the like button. And if you're new to the Boost and Forums channel, I am Boost. I'm a current owner of a W213 E63s, also a former owner of a W205 C63, and I own a BMW too at the same time. So it's kind of weird. But I do want to give you guys this video because I've noticed that a lot of W205 C63 owners or even C43 owners are looking into purchasing a W213 C63 or even GT63 to throw in there, right? And you guys want to know, would you be sacrificing any of the performance or or how athletic the C63 is? Let me just quickly explain, right? First thing, when I had the W213 C63, it was my first rear-wheel drive car, and the car is athletic. It feels like more of a sports car. It was a sedan, not the coupe, but it felt more of a sports car because it was tail happy, rear-wheel drive. It was a very fun car to drive, right? But I wanted to upgrade to a car that was all-wheel drive so I could have more control because I live in New York City and road drive cars are cool, but I miss the quick takeoffs, the low end power with traction, right? So I would say that's the number first thing that you actually are looking for. If you are getting tired of the wheel spin from the C63, because you have to put more control on that gas pedal, you have to actually put more drive effort into the car for it to pretty much go straight, right? Especially if you tune the car, you add downpipes, or even upgrade the turbos. Unless you live in the area where you're driving mostly highway, anything in the street, the car just isn't fun anymore. It's kind of useless to add the power with rear-wheel drive, right? So I would say it's additional all-wheel drive. Now, that adds so much more control into the car. You guys will love it. I would say that's the first pro. Second pro that you guys are going to sit there, I would actually tell you guys is, surprisingly, you would think that the W213 feels like a heavy car. And it really doesn't. I thought it would feel more heavier, but it really doesn't. The car does come with air suspension. That's how the W213 is set up, right? But it's not, they didn't design the air suspension to be for comfort at all. I have a 740 that has air suspension, right? From factory. Feels like I'm driving on pillows. When I drive the W213, it's stiffer than my C63. Yes, in comfort mode. Exactly. So it feels like you're still driving on coilovers. If any of you guys know what coilovers are, they're pretty much race suspension, right? It feels like you're driving on coilovers in the E63, especially when you go down to Sport Sport Plus. The car is a lot more stiffer for air suspension. You would think the car is a lot softer, but it really isn't. The car does handle, and they did put a lot of time and effort for the sport handle so that the car actually feels like it can handle, and it does handle. Now, is the car definitely heavier? Yes, but you just don't feel it in the corners. The car, depending on the tires you use and what mode you have the car in, it don't feel floaty at all. So I can't say there's any drawbacks in handling. I can't say there's any drawbacks in additional weight, and I can't say there's any drawbacks in traction. These are still the pros. Another fourth additional pro I got to add with the W213 is you get more creature comforts. The C63 is a C class. Let's keep it 100. It is a C class. So there's going to be certain features you're really not going to get in the C class compared that you would get, that you would definitely get in the W213. So when I got my E63s, it had massage seats because you got the comfort seats. You get massage, ventilated, and cooled. Heated and cooled. Oh, ventilated, heated, and cooled, and massage seats. Of course, it had the adjustable 4-way, whatever, or 12 or 16-way seats. And it has, of course, the ambient, the nice dash, because it's the 2018 and up. So they have the upgraded dash like from the S-Class from 2015, 2016. So it looks like a nice place to be. And, of course, with additional power boost, it just feels like a rocket ship. So it's in a nice middle ground where they know you give you a lot of the creature comforts from the S-Class, right? Because pretty much you would get almost most of the options from the S-Class, but you're in a smaller package and it's still athletic. So another additional thing is you get a lot of the creature comforts that come in there, and you can get the optional racing seats. Mine didn't come with the racing seats because I ain't got money for that, but I wanted the massage seats. So you have to get the comfort seats to get the massage seats. It is what it is. And additionally, I would say, okay, so let's go to some of the cons then, because I think it pretty much just stops there. right? It stops right there. Because of course there's other things, the feature, the look, how the car looks. That's up to you. That you're very subjective if you think which car looks better. I personally think that the C63s looks better on the front end. And I think the rear ends of both of these cars look very similar. So I would give the C63 the looks over, in my opinion. Now, to switch over to some of the cons, though, right? And also, before I switch over to some of the cons, most of the pros that I just sat there and said for the E63 would also apply to the GT63 too, because that car shares the same driveline and some of the same features. It's just that when I driven it, it's a four-seater though. It's not a five-seater. It's a four-seater. So there's a bit more room. But the rear seat definitely cuts a lot lower down because of the headroof, so I'm not really a fan of that. But it's a nice and new looking car, so it gets its pros for that, for looking more special as a Grand Tour. Cool. Now, there's some of the cons I would actually say when it comes to if you don't want to get into the E63s is if you care more about like the tuning aspect. Depending on which E63 you get, I would say it's a little bit more raw, right? And I mean more raw in the sense that it sounds better, it's louder. And depending on what year you get, you only need to get like a tune and a transmission tune. When you go from like 2018, 2019 and up, you have to also tune the CPC. That's an additional price. Also, the 9-speed transmission, to me, is a little bit more finicky than the 7-speed transmission. I'm still not a fan of the 9-speed transmission. It just seems very clanky. I don't know. This the C63 was just a lot better, in my opinion, when it came to the transmission, because it just felt a lot easier and more easier to control. The 9-speed just feels a lot weird. It doesn't seem, it feels like I'm just never in the right gear. So I would say that the transmission is lacking. Just how it searches for gears if you drive it in comfort mode, and when you put it in your own sports mode, then it's a lot differently. It's a lot more different, right? But that's just my own personal opinion, right? The next thing I would say as a con with the W213 is, as much as you think it's a bigger car, you think it'll be a lot more roomier. It's really only more roomier for like the driver and passenger, but the rear seat comfort is, to me, is still about the same. Still a very small car. I thought it would be a lot bigger, and I believe that they said that that W213 was actually built on the old S-Class platform, not the current model, well, the W222. I forgot, but I think it was a W221. But usually Mercedes likes to reuse the old bodies of the other classes. That's why these cars have been getting bigger over time. So I would say that the seat, the space for the passengers in the rear seat, is still, I thought it would be a bigger car, and it really isn't. And I'm not really much of a fan of that. And I thought it would just be a lot bigger. So I would say that would be like the third thing. Modifying the transmission and the space inside the car. I just thought it would be a little bit better, and it's just not. Now, additionally, after that, as I said, one of the downplays will be the looks. I personally think out of all the AMG cars from 2015 and newer AMG 63 models, and going newer, I think that the E63s is the ugliest, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Don't beat me up about it. I still think it's a good-looking car, but I think it's the most unattractive from like 2015 and no. The S-Class looks good. The C's look good. The GLEs, the GLCs, all of those cars look good in the 63. I would say literally the only reason, like the GLB AMG is like literally right next to it, the GLBs. So I think that the look of the car it doesn't flow that well. Like the front end looks good, the rear end is lacking, but it just doesn't. Mercedes always makes their cars. I would say now the AMG models don't stand out as much as they could, but looking at it like an E43 or an E43 compared to an E63, it's like, if they're both silver, you really can't tell the difference from the side unless the decals or the rear end. Like they're very, or like, you know, how they do the muffler tips and stuff like that. But I think now that they just didn't put too much time and effort to make the E63 look that much more different. That's just my personal opinion. You know, I guess they cost cutting. But honestly, those are pretty much all the cons I would actually sit there and say. To throw in the GT63 too, even though I'm not an owner, of course, the cons would be the car is even more additionally heavy. The same things with the performance, the space, the same thing. But I think the GT63 has better looks though, because it's a newer car, so it's gonna look good. All right. I would say try your best if you're looking to get the W213 E63. You're gonna be stuck between a 2018 and 2019 model or the 2021. Now, some people are starting by the 2021 model, which really doesn't make sense because it's just a facelift. You are getting a new steering wheel and a newer look, which is good. It makes you look like you have a more up to date car, right? But outside of that, like if you were going to purchase a W213 tomorrow, I would recommend looking for a 2019 and up model, because that's when a lot of the MBUX or MBUX has model changed or modified from 2019 and up, and you'll get the newest steering wheel. You get there'll just be some more upgraded features for the time. The 2018 is a little bit more raw, and you don't have to deal some 2018s don't have to deal with the CPC transmission upgrade or CPC tuning upgrade, but nonetheless you have the older steering wheel, but you'll still have the same interior. It's really up to you. There really wasn't as much changes, all right? And if I just throw it in here, if you can find one with low mileage with carbon ceramics, if I had to do it again, I would try to get one with carbon ceramics that are in shape, because depending on if you daily the car or not, because those are really much more sought after, and try to get the one with the 3D audio. Like that stuff is more of a prime features, and those things are going to be a lot more pricier down the line when these cars continue to sell on the market. I don't have a top to the line one, so it is what it is. All right. But outside that, guys, we have good morning, good afternoon, night. I really appreciate y'all. Y'all can add me at Boostin' Foreigns on Instagram, and hopefully this video gave you some pros and cons if you want to get into a W213 E63s or maybe even a GT63. Didn't really get too much information on that. You guys have a good day. Appreciate you.